This is real life and death here. Some lessons are harder to learn than others. Some lessons I've experienced over and over again. It's crazy. That's why I only know what he knows. Hey, I only grow as he goes. Yeah, I gotta give my lessons from the journey, baby.
Greetings, everyone. It is Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and you know what we do. We do lessons from the journey. I am your host, Shawn L. Brown. And that is my co host, Renee Brown. We're not related, but we are related. And we are so excited that you are here and we call you family. I want you to do something for me first. I had to write it down. Before we get started this morning, be sure to go subscribe to the Lessons from the Journey YouTube channel and make sure you go get yourself set up on the I am SLB global group on Facebook. Why? The Facebook group allows you access to things that are going on behind the scenes. The Lessons from the Journey YouTube channel gives you access to all of the things that are going on in the show. And as we grow, we will be growing the pages. So you want to get in on the ground floor. Don't play around. Go do it right now. I'll give you a second. Okay, you back? Perfect. Renee, we've been doing a series called Relationship Experience. This is episode 5. And after a whole series of events, I'd say my life is a show. I don't plan it. God produces it, and whatever comes, it comes. But after episode 4, the whole thing got flipped upside down and it ends up being me and you, but I don't think that's by accident. How are you, Renee? And how have you felt about this whole Lessons from the Journey relationship experience?
Right.
Right.
That's a whole thing. The journey that we've been on has been very interesting and the different perspectives from different people. Like
Yeah.
as women, we chat, we talk, we all have perspectives, but to listen to a man's point of view was a whole different thing,
Yeah.
and just to take that perspective into account on how you just look at relationships in general. And then just looking at the song itself, you saw the song totally different than what I saw the song to be,
Well,
but then after, because, okay, let's just start here. Do you really listen to all the words of the song, or do you listen to the parts that you know and the parts that are the hook and the parts that, you know what I'm saying? So in that song, I listened to the words, but some of the words I didn't catch, I guess I would say, until they were written down and I could read them. And then it was like it was a whole different song,
whole different
but
story. Whole different
yeah,
story.
but just listening to the song, I'm like, that's the jam from the day. What are you talking? Why are you mad? Why are you mad? I just don't
Why are
even
you?
understand you.
Well, let me go back, because if you haven't been following and you haven't been watching and you're just coming in on episode 5, let me tell you how this whole thing, relationship experience, got started. We were in a pre-production meeting trying to determine where we were going. And Craig, who's our third partner, said, we need to do a show on Tell Me. Well, Tell Me is an old song by a group called the SOS Band. It's produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I mean, iconic producers, amazing producers. Song I loved for years, right? So Craig asked me, he's my executive creative director. He produces my music. And he always has concepts. So he asked me would I do a rap version, a rap feature on this remake of Tell Me. So when I went to go listen to figure out where I was going to go with it, the initial reaction to the song as I listened to his remake, the dude's voice is so sexy. I mean, it's super sexy. And I was kind of turned on by it, right? And I'm like, hold on a minute. And then I heard the Holy Spirit say, go listen to it again. And I got angry. And I got angry because I knew that there was an old wound that this song was pricking, And then when God snapped me out of it, he said, you're older than that now. You can see the game now. You should be mad. You should be mad. So let me read you the lyrics from the original version. Tell me if you still care. Let me know. Have you started to lose your love for me? Now, this is a man singing. And if so, will you still continue to be on my side? Tell me if you still care about me. Then he goes on. Then the woman comes in and she says, I was so insecure with you. Did you still want me? So I let go of the feeling that you were still on mine. Tell me if you still care about me. The man comes back with, we must we both go on being confused and placing blame. My heart knows that you're my number one. Do you still feel the same way too? Now, as a girl with no father, and really in essence no mother, but especially with no father, I looked at that dialogue as love. But as this person that I am today, what I saw was a man. Let me personalize it for you. What I saw was every man that I had ever experienced in my life coming back after either cheating, abusing, hurting me, and then wanting to know if I still care. As a matter of fact, I just finished watching a movie on Lifetime called Polygamist. I finished it this morning before we came to do this show. 22 episodes. There's 22 books in the book. There's 22 chapters in the book of Revelations. It was a huge revelation because this man kept asking this woman, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? While he was doing heinous things to them, cheating, lying, not showing up. But then he would come and, do you love me? Do you love me? He'd throw money at them, buying things. But at the end of the day, what they were wanting from him was him and his love. But he wasn't given that. And that's what this song, I was like beside myself. So before I let you respond, Renee, my response to the song, I called Craig and I said, listen, do you want the Disneyland response or do you want a Shawnee B response? Because I'm furious that I would allow, and I want to be clear because I was told that it was like I could potentially be coming off like a bitch or bitchy. But I want you to hear this. My anger is not at the man. My anger is at myself for allowing that nonsense in my life because I was so thirsty. And in the reality, what it got back to is my training set me up to be a target. I was set up for predators. So let me give you my response. And my third verse response is my absolute favorite because, just imagine. I just want you to imagine, and for this is for the men, because every woman's gonna understand me, almost every woman. But I want you to imagine, men, a woman calling you up who completely destroyed you, coming back later on and saying, do you still love me? I just want to know, do you tell me if you still care about me? So here was my response to because I feel like in my mind, I made up a whole story, right? In my mind, it was a late night booty call. And he's calling me because that's how it always happened for me, right? It was always nighttime. It wasn't like in the daytime. It wasn't send me flowers and let's talk about it. It was always this nighttime call, like he was laying around sad about his life and calling me. So this was my third verse response. Oh, no, no, flex, I suspect. Just sex by the tone of your text. Love bomb is what I expect. Need time so I can reflect. Your face in my fantasies, my dreams, your insecurities. You were my one and only. Now tell me, did you really care about me? Should this feel the way it feels, I need to know your love is real. Your heart was closed. I was alone. I needed space and time to heal. Be still. Just chill. Now tell me, do you think I care about you? Do you think I care about you? Should I care about you after my experience with you? Renee, what says you?
Well, what says me is that the typical man would be like, "What are you talking about? Of course you should still care about me. I just told you that I still cared about you." You know what I'm saying? Because it's the whole gaslight journey. You
Yeah,
know, it's all I don't know, it just gets me so and like you say, you're not mad at them, you're mad at yourself.
yeah.
You're mad at yourself for and being thirsty is such a harsh thing to say, but that's just what it was. We're
Truth.
thirsty. You're just thirsty
Thirsty.
for
You're
the
thirsty.
attention, for the love, for the whatever it is that you thought you were going to get from that, you know?
Yes. Yes.
So it just is and that's where that's why I said like the song was so much different from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? And how people come back and be like, you know, I didn't mean it. You know, I still love you. But if you love me, we wouldn't even be here.
We
So
wouldn't be
circling the
here.
block, you know, circling the block for me was always hard. You know, because I just felt like. mm, we already went there. You know, we already went
Mhm.
there. We already went there. We tried it. It didn't work. Why are we going back? You know? And a lot of times you think it's like the timing and the this and the that. But I've even had the experience where the timing was perfect, but it just did not happen. You know what I'm saying? It was just because it wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah. It is it's a harsh reality to know that you were thirsty. And then for me, what I've been processing since we started it was, why was I so thirsty? Well, the one man who created me, he left me, but he didn't just leave me, which is kind of cool. He left all of my siblings. So nobody had a daddy, right? But what I realized is I didn't have a dad to tell me, you're beautiful. This is how a man should talk to you. This is how a man should treat you. Don't let anybody treat you like that. And then I was really sexualized early, molested and all those things. So in my mind, let me just share this with you, because this is what came up after episode 1 for me. I Somebody asked me a question about, well, have you ever written down your inner thoughts about yourself and then burned them? And I said, "Oh, well, I've written down my negative messages." I said, "Let me see if I can find them." Now, this was written, which is crazy, November 13th, 2012. My daughter is 12 years old. My son is probably about 14. I have just um, gone through vulva cancer, right? And these are my belief systems about myself. And I want you to know that before a couple weeks ago, I had not looked at this since 2012. I had not looked at this, what I'm about to read to you at all. And I hadn't told anybody this. But these were what I believed about myself. This was in my root system at 2012. I am bad. I am lazy. I am ugly. I'm slow. I'm not good enough. I'm irresponsible. I'm a liar. Nobody likes me. I'll never accomplish anything in my life. I think I am. I act white. I'm a fat pig. I'm a whore. I'm a failure. I'm a quitter. And I'm unlovable. I built a relationship on that root system. I raised children on that root system, which created perfectionism, which created, I went from a person who was serially dating, trying to find love. in all the wrong places, to running away from the Bay Area to Southern California, and I reinvented myself. But it was exterior changes. The issue, the root issue, was these messages. This was my root system. I just got married on top of that. And you're not going to marry apart from that. As a matter of fact, after last week's episode, what I heard was you can't outrun your pain. You can't outrun the trauma. I tried to outrun it. So this song brought me full circle back to face the realities, because I found myself mad at my mom and mad at Dre and mad and mad and mad. But the reality was, there's a God who was with me the entire time. And what I endured and experienced, a lot of people don't make it out of. But not only did I make it out of it, I made it out with my mind. I made it out with my sight. I made it out with my ability to walk. I made it out without a bunch of babies. I stayed faithful to a marriage that was never faithful to me from the beginning for 30 years. No affection, no love, no touch, just grind. I raised my children. I heard God say, they need to see somebody doing what they really say they're doing. I'll take care of you on the back end. So, not having a father led me into relationship with men who only wanted me for my body, my gifts, and my talents. So this song was literally a rescue mission. It literally was a part of the rescue mission. Episode 1 was like, okay, let me unlock the door to your cage so you can come on out. Talk to me about episode 2, Renee, because that's where we get to see the men.
Right. And I think for me, it was the vulnerability, especially of the
Mhm.
youngest man in the group. That
Kaylin.
was the thing for me, was that, they're all sitting there and they're all talking about their experiences and this, that, and the other. But for Kalen, he was in the moment. He's
Yeah.
living it. He's telling you, about his issues and his abandonment issues and things like that. So for me, for him to be at that age and realize it was a bonus. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people older than him, men that don't even realize that they have daddy issues or mommy issues or issues in general. Men don't look at their feelings. They don't want to
If
feel
not,
nothing. They just want to take, they're doers, take care of, they're supposed to, they're the man. That's what I keep hearing from some of my friends. Well, that's what the man's supposed to do. It's the man thing. But for me, I'm like, so if you never talk about it, if you never, if you never feel it, how can you grow from it? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And so they stay in the same position, they pick the same type of women, just like we pick the same type of men. It's the
yeah,
same thing. You know what I'm saying? They just got a different skin color, a little height, a little tall, a little, but it's the same person. It's the
it's the
same
same
person.
man, different britches.
Yep.
Same man,
Yep.
different britches. You made a point about Kim. First of all, I want to say I thought all the men did great. I really did. I thought it was a
Yo,
great
absolutely.
episode. And I thought Craig handled the interview just masterfully, right?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause,
Mm-hmm.
that's not an easy interview to have for him, I'm sure. But I was so impressed with Kalen's clarity. And I also want to give a shout out to his mom, because Shamila, Kaylin was raised in a village of people, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and support. My grandmother, Cleo, was alive and very involved in, helping with Kaylin. But his mom, she busted her behind as a single mom to take care of him. His dad wasn't, at that time not available or in the picture, but she worked hard. And then not only that, she worked hard to make sure that Kaylin had a relationship to be able to connect back, because that's a part of it too, not harming the relationship between the parent, because at the end of the day, that's still his dad. He is such an excellent young man. He's an excellent young man, and he's such a benefit, and he was such a benefit to that particular show. I also loved the conversation between Craig and Jason, on the part where Jason says, He's talking about his son and not wanting to,
To tell the
you know,
story.
yeah, maybe not tell him everything. And Craig
Hmm.
goes, but if you're going to war, don't you need all the details? Or you end up, risking injury or worse, it'd be a fatality. And Jason, I saw the light bulb right away. Like, oh, no, I have to tell them. Yes, you have to tell them, or they're just walking right into the same bombs that you walked into. That was
Yeah.
like, whoa. That was
But
like,
that's, I mean, that's the truth for a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to tell your kids all the bad stuff you did and all this and that, but when they get to be an adult, it's all free reign. I love sitting back listening to my kids talk about what they used to do when they was younger that I never knew about.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Or things, or how they experienced something which was way different from what I experienced. And then as a parent, I don't even remember what you're talking about, right? Because we're parenting, we're trying to survive. You know what I mean? So some of the incidents they talk about, I'm like, I don't even remember that, but they were such a stay, a mark on their memory. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I feel like that's how we carry a lot of things, good and bad. You know what I'm saying? But the bad things we carry, we carry them on the inside in compartments, in
Yes.
places. You know what I'm saying? In dark spaces where, you put it away and you don't remember. It's funny how you can
Wild.
just knock some. I'm telling you, between sixth grade and seventh grade, I can't tell you nothing. Can't tell you nothing. Right. And the funny part about it was I couldn't tell you when I was in eighth grade.
You had a block.
Just that whole thing was gone. The whole thing was gone. So it's funny. And I thought that was a good point too, was how the light bulb did come on to him, to like,
Yeah, he got it.
especially for men. When you're raising boys, you got to tell them all the pitfalls. You got to tell them all the spaces where you messed up, where you don't want to see them messed up doing the same thing. It ain't just because I said so, it's because I already been there. You know what I'm saying? It's different when you've lived it and I have a story to tell you about it instead of me saying, don't do that because that's what people say. No, don't do that because I already did that and this is what happened.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Bible's clear. It says, train a child in the way they should go, and in the end, they won't depart.
Mhm.
Train them in the way they should go. A child comes here not knowing what to do, and relationships are valuable. I mean, they're important, valuable, important. So if I don't know how to relate, or if my first relationships with the woman is supposed to teach me how to be a woman, the man is supposed to teach me what man to find and how to interact and be in a relationship. But if that's missing, and I want to be very clear, missing doesn't mean absent. Missing can be very present physically, but the role not being done. That's still missing. And here's the problem. We are sending kids out, especially our young ladies, to be devoured by wolves. Literally devour. I'm telling y'all, watch Polygamy. That movie is like, when I got done, I was like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, I made it out alive. Thank you, Lord, I made it out without some egregious disease. Thank you that you kept me out of the music industry. I would have been run through. I would have been run through. I had men dragging me by my legs, choking me. I have been through every possible thing. But why? Because my early imprint, and that's the word that came up after the men's session, was imprint. Let me give you the definition of imprint. An imprint is a mark, influence, or effect that is left on something or someone. Those imprints, and what the Lord showed me, my imprints was from the womb to 15 years old. That imprint left a stain that in 2012, as the result of my root system belief system, comes from that imprint. So that can only be uprooted by God. There was no, I couldn't, I was performing parenthood. I was performing being a wife. I was performing. Why was I performing? I never saw it. And I don't realize it until episode 2. Oh my God, I wasn't even doing anything I thought I was doing because I watched TV, I listened to songs, I watched movies, and then I went out and tried to create the life that I thought I needed, that I was supposed to create based on what I saw on TV, not what was modeled for me. That's crazy. I'm so thankful for this show. I'm so thankful for this show because it's rescuing me. It's rescuing me. Before we go to episode 3, anything else you want to say?
Um, no, it's just, I mean, it's funny how each show brought about a different thought pattern or a different revelation.
Yeah, a different revelation. You know,
Mhm.
the examples of an imprint before we go into the females, because we're about to talk about the females. It's a footprint. It's like a footprint imprinted in wet cement. Childhood experiences can imprint beliefs that last a lifetime. A powerful conversation can imprint itself on your memory. An imprint is the mark or influence that remains. So when God gave me imprint, he was like, babe, only I can fix this. You can't fix it. So Renee, talk to me. How was your feeling as you watched? You were on
I
episode.
was on episode
You were
3.
on. Talk to me about episode 3 from behind the camera. You're from in front of the camera. Talk to me about it.
I mean, episode 3 was just, I love the fact that people were transparent. You know what I'm saying? And that we had like a revelation right on camera. You know what I'm saying from the conversation, you know? I just thought that was I thought that was good. I thought everybody's everybody's experiences are different, but they're all the same.
Yeah, it's the same story, different things, right? It's
But the
like the
same.
enemy is working in whatever way he can to diminish and reduce each person, right? That's why I say all the time, you really can't judge a person because you haven't walked in their shoes. So it's like work on yourself, and then the people that are supposed to surround you will surround you. But if you are surrounded by a bunch of people that you don't necessarily like or don't feel comfortable for you, more than likely that's your tribe vibe.
Mhm.
Right? That's your tribe vibe. So if you want to change your outer circumstances, you have to change your inner world.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know, let me tell you who was the highlight for me of that show. It was Erica. Erica's aha moment when she was
Mhm.
sitting there and she goes, oh my God. I think she said something like, I've been asking God what love looks like or what real love looks like. And she goes, now I see it. What happens when a woman doesn't even have an idea what real love looks like, Renee? What
But that
happens?
what happens is you end up in all these relationships that don't mean nothing because you don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? The thing about real love is your first love is your mom or your dad, right? And girls tend to be their first love is their dad, and boys tend to be their first love is their mom, you know? And if you don't have that connection, you spend your whole life looking for that. You
Mhm.
spend your whole life looking for the one thing that you are missing, which is that love and connection. You know, I've told you before that I was 40 some years old before my dad ever said he loved me. It was always
Yeah.
implied,
Yeah.
but it was
That's
never
brutal.
said, you know, and but I didn't even realize it. I
That
didn't even
creates the
realize it.
thirst.
Right, right. And then the fix it portion of it.
Oh, oh. Oh, the
I
fix
told you
is
my
not
build a
fixed.
dude kit is broken. Okay, it's broken, and the factory is broken. Okay, we
Yeah.
cannot build a dude. It just doesn't happen.
That's why I used to say my picker is broken.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
my
for
picker was
sure.
broken. But I was so proud of Erica, because we get to see in that episode where she makes a choice for herself after a 5-year relationship. She makes a choice for herself. And what was really impressive for me is a lot of women, like when you look at the polygamy movie, a lot of women get stuck because of resources,
Hmm.
survival.
Hmm.
So they're stuck in relationships with men who are literally using them up, all of the best parts of them, just to be able to eat and have a place to live and maybe, go on some trips and dates. But you're getting nothing fulfilled in those areas, nothing fulfilled spiritually. Where is he leading you spiritually? To bed? There's nothing fulfilled emotionally. Where is he doing with your heart? How is he taking care of it? Nothing fulfilled mentally because he's gaslighting you, manipulating you, so twisted around. You don't know right from left, up from down. But for Erica to say, no, I'd rather be homeless. In essence, that's what she said. I'd rather be homeless than do this again. That
Hmm.
is to me growth and development. And what we got to see is God comes in right away to support his child because she surrendered, because in essence, she chose God's path for herself by leaving a situation that was not going to take her anywhere. So I
Hmm.
just want to
Yeah,
I
for
want to clap
sure.
for her
For
because I
sure.
hope women saw what I saw.
Mhm. And what
What?
she realized was unconditional love, not just love.
Yeah.
It was unconditional love.
Yes. Yes. And that can only be provided by God and a man surrendered to God. I just want to be very clear that a covenant marriage only works when it's two brides of Christ. And what a bride of Christ is somebody, male or female, submitted and committed to God's design for their life. And then once you know that, then you can align yourself with the partner that will help you to support that. But if I align myself to a wounded child man, then that wounded child man is looking to turn me into his mommy. And I'm actually looking to turn him into whatever I didn't receive. So it is a vicious cycle of dysfunction, disrespect, and chaos.
But can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to realize that you had married that person? How long did it take you to realize that he was looking for a mommy? When did it click for you that that's what position you were playing?
I realized it, but let me tell you where I got messed up. I realized what was happening, but I did not realize that I had a choice to get out, if that makes any sense. And what I
Mhm.
mean by that, I had gotten saved. I didn't understand leaving versus staying, and should I stay, should I go, am I messing this up, am I doing this, am I doing that? I didn't understand relationships and how they were formed. So it was really conflicting. And then on top of that, circumstances of life kept happening, like blindness and not being able to walk and cancers and chemos. And so you've got two kids, so you can't just pick up and leave in the middle of dose dense chemotherapy, right? Who's going to take care of you? So it took me a long time, but remember, every person's time frame is going to be different. I didn't have a picture. I
Well,
didn't have a picture.
that's why I asked the question, right?
Mhm.
Because you don't realize it, right? You
No.
don't realize that's what's happening. And it takes a minute for all the things to start aligning for you to even see what's going on because you're just living, right? You're just in this new relationship or this new marriage and you're trying to make things work. And, okay, well, he can't do that. I'll do this. And then the next
Yep.
thing you know, you're doing everything. See,
Yep.
this is what happens. And what does your mama
Over-functioning.
do? Your mom does everything. She takes care of everything, right? She takes care, she keeps all your papers safe. Knows where everything is and all that kind of stuff. So it was just, I was just sitting here like in my relationships, it took me a while to realize it. You know, what you thought was love and caring actually was dependency
Yeah.
and manipulation.
It was like being starving and somebody throwing you a cracker.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to see it. And then the point you made about, women get stuck because of resources and this, that, and the other. A lot of times I feel like women get stuck in their own mind. It has
Yeah,
nothing to do with a resource or anything like that, right? They just get stuck
absolutely.
that they've been browbeaten so much. The man has lowered their self-esteem so low that they feel like that they'd have no other choice when the choices are always there, And so I get, in certain situations, things align to where you stay and this and that and the other. But I think a lot of times they just stay for their comfort level, even though it's uncomfortable, right? It's
Absolutely.
not that it's
Pick your
comfortable.
poison.
Yeah.
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 That's what,
Yeah.
remember I started saying purpose of poison is only two options. Like I wish I had had that verbiage. And then that's the thing, right? You don't have nobody speaking to you. So you just like, okay, well, I think I'm gonna try this. That's kind of how it was for me. I'm gonna try this. I don't like that. I don't want to do that again. I'm gonna try this. I don't like that. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. But really, I was looping myself around because I couldn't trust God with my heart. So because of that, I kept spinning the block on the same thing, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. But let me tell you, God's word is incredible and it don't fail. James chapter 1 is my favorite. And it wasn't always my favorite because I didn't understand. I was like, well, what do you mean? But let me read it to you and then we'll talk about it. Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well developed, not deficient in any way. So when the trials and the challenges come, as a result, let's take Erica. She made a choice and a decision that left her homeless, in essence, trial and challenge. But she stayed the course with the Lord so that she could become mature and well developed, not deficient in that area anymore. But let me tell you what it goes on to say. If you don't know what you're doing, pray to the Father. He loves to help. You'll get his help and won't be condescended to when you ask for it. Ask boldly, believingly, without a second thought. People who worry their prayers are like wind whipped waves. Don't think you're going to get anything from the master that way. Adrift at sea, keeping all your options open. I was keeping all my options open. Do you get it? I'll be like, okay, God, I'm praying, I'm praying, I'm praying, I'm praying, I'm praying, I'm praying. Oh, but I don't know how to do this. Option. There can't be an option. It's God's way or no way, and the path is narrow. So, for us as women, people to get out of these kind of relationships, we have to tap into the root system. We have to know what is even causing us to be attracted to that thing. And then we have to allow God to dismantle it. That's what's difficult. Because for me, I'm 56 years old. I'm just doing this level of work starting a year ago, a little over a year ago. I'm just starting to do, or not, a little under a year ago, that I'm just starting to do this level of work. But I had to go through a lot of disorientation and a lot of pain, a lot of confusion before I could even get here. And you've watched it. You've seen the process. The process is crazy. And in order for me to do it, I had to be surrendered to God to let him take me through this process of count it all joy whenever you encounter trials.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
So we're about to check out of episode 3. Any last words before we go to episode 4?
I just, I give, like I say, women, we like to chat. We like to open our, we like to share things. You know what I mean? And I feel like when you share things and you hear other people's perspective on things, it gives you a whole different view on where you're at. you
It
know,
really
that
does.
it just gives you a whole different view. So I just applaud the ladies for being on there and speaking their piece.
And being open. Stephanie did a phenomenal job as the guest co-host. I love Sharon, our expert. She's always phenomenal, right? I mean, we're just blessed with the people that are coming to these series because this information is invaluable if you
Yeah,
take it, eat it up, and decide what you want to do with your life. That's what Lessons from the Journey is. It is a show that is designed to help you master the game of life so that you can manage what you've been given well, so that we can live well together. That's it. Super, super simple. Super
yeah,
simple,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, no, for real. That's all you want.
That's
It's
all.
that's all you want. That's all you want to be able to do is just live in community, live and
So,
be happy,
yes, live well. I just want to live well. I just want to
live
live well.
well. Yeah.
Episode 4, I have not even watched it all. One of the things I was happy that I got to sit at home and watch it. A very tough episode. It featured my husband, my current husband, Andre, and Craig, my current husband, my only husband, just so FYI. I don't want that going out and somebody saying I have like multiple husbands. It's one. This is my only husband. Sorry.
She said my current husband. Like she has some more, okay?
We got 6 of them. I've only been married once. I've been married for 30 years, and he is my husband. But he and Craig had a very open, honest conversation. But before we get into episode 4, tech team, can you please run the clip that I gave you?
One of the most painful things that I see is men who would genuinely do anything for the woman that they love, who slowly destroy the relationship from the inside without understanding why. Now, he loves her deeply. He's not a bad man, but there's still a wounded little boy inside of him that carries pain that he's never looked at. And that boy shows up in the moments that matter the most. So he's reactive when she needs him calm. He's shut down when she needs him to be present, and he gets defensive when she needs him to be accountable. So she's giving him invitation after invitation to step up, and he doesn't even fucking see them because he's not responding to her. He's responding to everything that hurt him before she ever showed up. And unfortunately, most men don't face this until she leaves, until the relationship that they wanted more than anything is gone. Then, when there's nothing left to distract him, he finally has to turn towards the things inside that he spent his whole life avoiding. And that's where the real work begins. And the men who choose to do that on the other side of that loss, they become someone completely different. Not perfect, but finally present, finally authentic, and finally connected to the truth.
You watched episode 4. What
I
were your
did.
thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to commend Andre for even doing the episode and,
Yes.
sitting there and telling his truth,
Yeah.
and to Craig too for, being the person to interview him and ask the hard questions, but I also thought it was very eye-opening um on how people perceive themselves and the reality of what they do.
Mhm.
Um I think that Andre admitted to, some things and how, he wasn't the perfect person and how he wasn't there and that kind of thing. But I also thought that I was sad that we didn't get to hear the whole victim impact statement because the parts that we did hear were, and he had a chance to respond to were deep. But I feel like the whole statement as itself, we missed the impact, of the statement. Um, but I thought they did a good job. I thought they did a good job on the interview.
Yeah, I thought
I
so. I thought, in Craig's defense, right? I'm gonna give you guys some behind the scenes. Craig did not see that victim impact statement until present moment. And that victim impact statement is shocking if you don't know, right? If you're only seeing a people from the outside and you don't know what's going on inside, that was shocking. What I saw Craig rattled. I saw him like, he's sitting in front of Andre. He's got to read this thing. He knows me. We work together very closely. I thought he did an incredible job, and I felt bad as I was watching. I'm like, oh my God, my friend, he doesn't know what I've been through. He doesn't know, and he's finding out right now and trying to have a composed response to something that is egregious, right? It was egregious, but I thought it was well done, and I was proud of Andre, right? Because to have to confront your stuff in a public forum is not easy. I've been doing this a long time, right? So, and I want to be free, so I don't care what anybody thinks. But when you haven't been, it's a shock to the system. And he handled it really, really well. And so I want to commend, Dre, when you see this, thank you for doing this work. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you for having the concept, because it was his concept. Thank you for having the concept and stepping into it. Thank you, Pastor Rob, for coaching Dre and helping him and encouraging him to step into it. This hiding from men goes all the way back to Genesis chapter 3. Because when Eve eats the fruit, the first thing they do is hide. And Adam hid like God couldn't see him. So this is what men tend to do, is hide. So for Dre to step out, it was impressive. And Rob, you are the bomb in how you have coached him to this place. I mean, it's 30 plus years. To see this is literally incredible. But that clip, that's the man who calls you and says, do you still care about me? Right? That wounded little boy inside of him is looking for the mommy or the daddy figure that he didn't have to make him feel better through his partner. So in watching The Polygamist and watching him just sex woman after woman after woman after woman with no regard for his life, his children, all he cared about was himself. What I saw was this little boy who didn't get the love, the nourishing, and the guidance that he needed to be able to lead as a man the way that he was created. So episode 4, I think it was the breakout episode. And I want to give a shout out to the tech team. Episode 4 looked stunning on camera. That's what I'm saying. So this whole series is an evolution of the show. It's an evolution of the people that are on screen. It's an evolution of the people watching. It's to me, it's watching God's vision come to life in real time.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what you said about in Genesis 3, where, their first thing they did was hide. But the next thing he did was blame the woman.
Yeah, sure did.
And, and that that's like key for me. You know what I mean? It's like we've always been the person to take, even though, yes, she ate it, but he had the ability to stop her. He had the ability not to eat it himself.
Mm-hmm.
He had the choice, right?
And he had all the information. See, Eve wasn't there when God gave him the information. She wasn't even created yet. So it's like mama and daddy said, don't come to these the rules. Now here comes your little sibling. You're supposed to say no. He was
Don't
supposed
do
to
that.
go up to her and smack that out of her hand and be like, hey, what are you
We
doing?
can't do that. Exactly.
What are you doing? We can't do that. An enemy, get out of here. Get out of here. What are you doing touching mine? Dre wanted to bring out this point. So we've been watching a show. It's a cartoon on Netflix called David. And it's about David, the character that kills Goliath in the Bible, right? But he was so committed to God's call on his life. God started up training him by taking care of the sheep. And he was so in love with his job and his position and what he was called to do. He was never going to leave his post. He wasn't going to leave his sheep behind. He trusted God. He knew God would be there for him. So if men don't live like David, the woman and the family that they create together is going to be destroyed. You have to know your position and job. That's why I love sports analogies. Because if we did our lives like we like our sports, husband, you're the quarterback. We're the receiver. When I go out for the pass, you have to deliver that pass to me. But if that team doesn't have a quarterback, then I can run the right pass. I can run the right schemes all day. No ball is coming to me. No ball is coming to me. So everybody has a role and every role is vital. That brings me to next week, episode 6. Now we're going to talk about relationship by God's design. Why do we have this level of confusion and lack of clarity? That's what the songs say. Must we go on being confused? Well, why are we confused, Adam? Because if you lead the way, we should not be confused. Because you should be following Jesus as you lead your family in the way we should all go. You should not be creating havoc. And Eve, you got to be following Jesus and in alignment to submit to Adam's authority as he follows Jesus. What I did not know all these years, I don't have to submit to Adam if Adam is following Satan. God didn't call me that. But that's for another show and another series. But I'm going to teach that one because I want women to be free from this thing because we don't understand what we're doing. So we end up completely tricked and trapped into relationships that are completely harmful and damaging because we don't know what the words say. But anyway, I'm going to go to my tech team because I have a clip that I think is going to prepare us for next week's show. Can you show us the clip, tech team?
Scripture's clear. God designed men to lead. It's in Genesis. Man was created first, and then the woman was made as his helper. Yeah, you're totally missing the point. Which part of Genesis are you reading? Well, Genesis 2, Adam was created first, then Eve, and helper literally means subordinate. Well, except the Hebrew word there is Azer, and I use the same word to describe myself 17 times in the Psalms. The Lord is my Azer. And am I Adam's subordinate? Well, no, but helper doesn't mean lesser, it just means subordinated. Well, Genesis 1 says male and female together bear my image, together given dominion. No rank, no hierarchy. Except didn't Adam name Eve, which means that he has authority over her? Adam named the animals before Eve existed, and he also named her after the fall in Genesis 3, right alongside the curse. And what he named her was mother of all living. It was to give hope after the fall. So are you saying that hierarchy shows up after the fall? Male rule over women is listed in Genesis 3:16 as a part of the broken world, not my design. My design was partnership. So complementarianism, where there's a hierarchy between men and women, is built on the curse? 100%. And I came to reverse that curse. Galatians 3:28 says that there are no longer male or female. That's the new creation order. Meanwhile, we've been preaching the fall like it's Eden. Yeah, and it's time to stop.
Do you know how excited I am for next week's show? So let me tell you who's coming on. Pastor B. Pastor Bongi is stellar in communicating the word. She also gave me away when I did my Bride of Christ ceremony in South Africa. And, coming through this series, I now understand why God sent me all the way to South Africa to get married to him, because I would not have done this level of work had I not made that level of commitment. So she's coming on. She's going to be our guest co-host. And then I have two married couples, pastoral couples. Pastor Rob and his wife are coming back. Pastor Rob and his wife will be here. And then Pastor T and her husband will be here. They've been together for years. And so we're going to talk about relationship by God's design. And when we don't do relationship by God's design, what we get to experience is all of the things that we've been talking about, where men don't know how to be men and women don't know how to be women and kids don't know where they go and kids are left out without parents. This is why we experience this. God didn't make these standards because he was mean. He made the standards out of love and protection. And when we align with his standards, it works. When we don't align with his standards, we have polygamy and rape and kids in foster homes and group homes and girls losing their virginity on bathroom floors and women trying to raise children by themselves and men trying to raise kids by themselves. It can't work. Even the animals on Noah's Ark went out 2 by 2. So I don't know why we think that kids can be functionally raised by one person. I'm really looking forward to this. What are you looking for most about this next episode, Renee?
Just to see how they lay it out and how they lived it in their lives. You know, that's the part I want to see.
How'd you live it out, right? Because it's
Yeah.
one thing to read it, right? What I know about church, we are phenomenal at reading it,
hmm
but we haven't been taught really well how to live it. And that's
Or
what we want to do, teach the people how to live this thing. Because when we live it, it really does work in our lives. That's why I like my little phrase. Purpose or poison, it's only two options. Just make a choice and stop all the noise. And what I mean by stop all the noise, there's a lot of complaining and whining and crying over choices that we made. And I'll say from my own experience, I made the same choice over and over and over and over and over again. The Bible even says it's foolish. It's like a dog returning to its vomit it up and then return back and eat it. That's what we're doing. So I love that we are wrapping this relationship experience series with God's plan for it. So then listen, I don't know if you're a Christian. I don't know if people believe in Jesus. I don't know. But my job is to make sure that you have the information so that you could choose. And even if you don't not ready to make a choice, at least go investigate. At least go investigate. Am I making choices that bear fruit spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically? That's the core four. The fifth key is spiritual, is relationally. So what I am spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, that's who I bring into relationships. So this next episode, I don't want y'all to miss it. I want you to be locked and loaded. I want you to bring your pen and your journal and be prepared to take these notes so then you can decide. Now, if you watch it and you decide you want life outside of God's plan, step on the gas. No, I want you to step on hard. And I want you to take all of it in. And then I want you to decide, do you like the result? And if you don't like the result, come back here because we're going to help you with those lessons from the journey. I am your host, Shawn L. Brown. And Renee, tell them who you are.
I'm your co-host, Renee Brown.
My co-host, Renee Brown. And we will be back here every Saturday at 10 a.m. for Lessons from the Journey live. And until then, what I want you to do, go love your life.